So, the relationship that you are currently in, do you feel like you are with a narcissist or an avoidant? And how do you figure out how? Rain, take it over.
Okay. So, how do you figure out the difference between a narcissist and an avoidant? They're really very, very, very similar. The only way you can figure out the difference between the both is how you're feeling around them. Who do you become around that person? Now, what the first thing is that came out of my mouth before we actually hit recording is who cares? Who truly cares whether they're avoidant or a narcissist? What does it mean to you for it? If it's an avoidant, how does it make it better? If it's a narcissist, how does it make it worse, right? Because there's a worse and a better. Like, oh, narcissist, that's like the worst possible, the pits of hell, right? But an avoidant, no, it's a little bit, it's better. It's a little bit better I can deal with. But what's the point of trying to figure out the difference between both? In both scenarios, who are you and how do you feel? You feel less of yourself. You don't feel respected. You feel somebody's avoiding you. You feel somebody's like silent treatment. Somebody's like they're not necessarily gaslighting, but there's a lot of manipulation. There's lot of word salad. Like you'll say something and then they'll shift it, never to take responsibility for it. In both scenarios, that's why it's not as important to define it to the T like that. What's important is, okay, there's something uncanny happening here. I keep feeling less of myself all the time around this person. I don't feel safe. That's your number one sign. I don't feel safe being in my body. It's that simple. It's not even I don't feel safe in the environment. Like you don't even have to go that far. I just don't feel safe being in my body. I don't feel safe being me. Okay. Whatever this me is that I don't even know feels uncomfortable being in this environment and dressing up in this body in full confidence for some odd reason. So there's no need to define which or the other. One, of course, like narcissists, they're more tactful. There's a plan. They already know all your triggers. They already know what delights you and what doesn't. They've heard you. They've gathered all the information possible. They've heard you. They know, right? And they just choose not to for some other like ailment they have inside. The avoidant isn't gathering information to like, oh, now I'll give her a droplet of this because now she might be leaving, right? The avoidant is so terrified of their own emotions that they can't go near this subject or any confrontation or any openness or anything like that because they don't want to see their insides. So there is a lot of similarities with narcissism because narcissists also don't want to look inside, right? So neither one really wants to invest inside. Maybe the avoidant, when they're about to lose everything, will buck it up and go discover their insights. Like they might have that window of opportunity with themselves. Narcissist, that is not even a window of opportunity. It's not of no interest. It's never of interest, right? Killing you, demising you is of interest. But me, look at me, hell, I'm perfect, right? Very different. So to spend your time in your life trying to figure out whether they're in this chair or this chair or this chair without demonizing anything, right? It's like trying to figure out if somebody has a slight autism or is it ADHD or it's all part of the spectrum. They're all part of the same spectrum, right? It's just take it as a whole. Okay, these people do not feel. Okay? They don't feel for themselves, let alone they don't feel for others, right? But they're very pokey. They're spiky, right? You come near them and like they hurt you if you come near them. That's it. That's all I need to know. Not because I'm going to leave them, but okay, so that's who they are. Can I come to terms with who they are and stop fixing them, right? And trying to get them into this mushy place that as intuitives, as empaths and intuitives in our soul, because this is what I noticed with me, Mel, when I would talk to the narcissist, and there were so many from friends to colleagues to partners to the whole shebang, what would happen is I would be speaking to their inner child because I can see their inner child. I can see that wounded thing. As an empath, highly sensitive, who is completely disconnected from self, seeing that child within them that's in so much pain and not being loved, I wanted to gush them with love. Now, the difference is I'm seeing the child version of them and I'm dealing with that energy. But their adult self is not in that energy in them anymore, because their adult self has oppressed the pain, and now their adult self is hurting me, is hurting their environment, and it's not for me to fix it. I've spent like over 30 years doing this, so I would always go in and talk to their inner child and be like, come on, don't you remember how nice life is? Don't you remember that you can be loved? I'll love you. Let me love you so much that you're finally going to relax and feel safe around me, because I never want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. I love you. And the more we do that, the more they shrink away. Okay? The more they don't want it, because that's not what they're looking for. Okay? They're so wounded. They're just looking for, get the hell away from me. I don't want you anywhere near me. I am good where I am at. So whether it is a narcissist or an avoidant, that whole energy needing to save that inner child trauma that a lot of us sensitives feel and speak to and take care of, you'll notice that avoidance and narcissists, maybe narcissists more, you can't really depend on them, right? You're really doing a lot more work. You're depleting yourself a lot more. You're shrinking yourself in places to make them feel better about themselves. Like, you're in this position always trying to make them feel better about themselves. I remember helping my partners with their business and their who they are in the world. And like, constantly, it's as if like I was saving their inner child to be like, trust me, you're good. Just believe me, you're good. Okay. And I don't know how many of you resonate with that energy of like they become your child that is never going to grow up. They're never going to grow up. But with your kids, you have hope, right? You're like, oh, they're only 5. Of course they're allowed to have a tantrum. Oh, they're only 9. Oh, of course they're going to go in their drama. Oh, now they're puberty, or she has her period. Of course, like, but it moves, it shifts. With them, the energy doesn't shift. They're trapped in this being, and we keep trying to log them out. So it doesn't matter whether they're this or that. Free yourself from that. Maybe you can choose one and just immerse yourself in it to give yourself that freedom, like we said on our last episode, where just identify it for yourself to free yourself. But don't go down the rabbit hole of trying to really pinpoint, because it's a rabbit hole. And it's more of just being like, well, they're this or that, regardless, I've depleted myself. And so I think this will give a lot of freedom to not, because you know what? Because I remember this. It is scary as hell. Scary as hell for us to pinpoint that, okay? And not do the research, okay? And not really look at it, and not make sure that every single one of them is checklisted, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to judge. I don't want to put someone in a lower state. Now, all of a sudden, what, I'm better than them? Oh, hell no. Right? God forbid we could ever be better than anyone. We always want equality, right? But we want them to see us as an equal too. So there's this thing happening. So we're at war basically internally. So, okay, avoidant, narcissist, really, who cares? How much of myself have I lost? And do I keep losing? And why do I do this? Oh, I'm a sensitive. Maybe it's recognizing I'm a sensitive. You know what? I can see so much more about them than they'll ever see about themselves or about me. Can I be okay with that, who I am, and now clearly have a boundary between, I'm not here to heal your inner child. You need a professional. Or that's your inner child. That's for you to deal with. Your inner child doesn't want to come out and play. I've been poking you to play. Come play. They don't want to play. So in both scenarios, I feel it's a traumatized inner child, but only the humanness embodying this child can be the only one that can free the child. And it's really sad, because we all love those partners and those parents and those colleagues, and we feel their pain and we see their sadness, and they do act really young. They're not wise. You don't feel wisdom spewing out of them. You can't go to them for advice, wise advice. It's interesting. You'll find out that you're the wisdom keeper. right? When you start to trust yourself, you're the one that has the know-how. You're the one that's like building the whole thing, like you've built it all. It's not them, right? So I hope that was helpful for you to kind of like get away from really having to label the details of it and free yourself a little. So check out our, so I wanted to just make sure that you can check out our Buy Me a Coffee. We have a link in the descriptions down there, and you'll find very resourceful e-guides and ebooks to help you in your journey, any life journey. And we also have these beautiful darling jewelries. That's how Mel calls them, her darling jewelries. You really got to try them out.
Yes. And if you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe and comment. That will help us keep giving you just great information. Also, you'll be up to date when you subscribe to all of our latest episodes, especially if you're interested in this narcissism. We have a bunch of different videos on this, longer and shorter ones, so you can really understand it and just be able to come home to yourself and feel that inner peace and that inner love that we all want to feel. And then we want you to comment if you feel like you are in a narcissistic relationship or in a relationship with an avoidant. We would love for you to comment if you feel like you're in any of those relationships. And then feel free to share anything else with us if you'd like. We'd love to connect with you. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.